Throughout history, the trucking industry has played a crucial role in supporting wartime efforts. From World War I to the Gulf War, trucks and truck drivers have been indispensable in military logistics and supply chains, ensuring that troops and equipment are transported efficiently and effectively. On this episode of Trucking Up History, presented by H&M Trucking, we'll explore the significant contributions of the trucking industry during major conflicts, highlighting the heroic efforts of truckers both on the home front and in war zones. We'll also take a look at some of the historical figures involved and their impact on the world of trucking and the world in general. So thump the tires, check the airlines, and fuel up, because we're off and rolling on another episode of Trucking Up History.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
World War I marked the first major conflict where motorized vehicles were extensively used. Prior to this, armies largely relied on horses and railroads for transportation. However, the advent of the internal combustion engine revolutionized military logistics. Trucks provided the flexibility and speed that railroads and horse-drawn carriages could not. As they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it capable of 80,000 GVW. During World War I, the American Expeditionary Forces utilized trucking extensively to transport troops, supplies, and equipment across the battlefield of Europe. The iconic Liberty truck, developed specifically for the war, became a symbol of American industrial might. More than 9,000 Liberty trucks were produced and shipped to Europe, playing a vital role in AEF's logistics. The Liberty truck was an open-cab, 22-foot-long Class B truck with a capacity of 3 to 5 short tons. It ran on a 4-speed 4x2 transmission and a 426 cubic inch L-head 4-cycle engine that cranked out a whopping 52 horse. It was designed by the Quartermaster Corps, who had a hand from the Society of Automotive Engineers. The SAE later helped standardize parts across all motor vehicles in use by the U.S. military at the time, but the Liberty truck is considered the first standardized motor vehicle adopted by the U.S. Armed Forces. A key figure in this transformation was General John J. Blackjack Pershing, the commander of the American Expeditionary Forces. Pershing recognized the strategic importance of motorized transport and advocated for the widespread adoption of trucks to improve the mobility and efficiency of his forces. His forward-thinking approach laid the groundwork for modern military logistics. His sweet name lends itself to an underrated pastry. While the Canadians argue that the Pershing originated in Thunder Bay, Ontario, those of us that bleed red, white, and blue know it was named after Blackjack Pershing himself. The use of trucks allowed for a quicker and more efficient movement of goods and personnel, which was crucial in maintaining the momentum of military operations. Truck convoys could navigate through the rough terrain and makeshift roads that often characterized the front lines, delivering essential supplies like ammunition, food, and medical equipment directly to the troops. World War II saw an even greater reliance on trucks, with the trucking industry becoming the backbone of the Allied supply chain. The sheer scale of the conflict demanded a logistical network capable of supporting multiple theaters of war simultaneously. Trucks and their drivers were integral in meeting this demand. The United States Lend-Lease program, which provided military aid to Allied nations, included a significant number of trucks. These vehicles were vital in sustaining the Soviet Union during the grueling Eastern Front campaign. The Studebaker US-6, one of the most famous trucks of the era, became a workhorse for Soviet forces, transporting everything from troops to artillery pieces across the vast expanse of the Soviet Union. Those of you that have traveled the Dalton Highway in Alaska might think it's lonely, but it wouldn't hold a candle to some of the routes traveled across the Soviet Union. In the North African campaign, trucks were essential for the mobility of the Desert Rats, the British Eighth Army who fought against German and Italian forces. The harsh desert environment required robust and reliable vehicles, and trucks met this need, enabling rapid movements and resupply over long distances. They had good practice in Texas and the rest of the American Southwest, of course. We often hear stories and see recreations in pop culture of the events of D-Day, but D-Day was just one day, and it took place on the coast. The bulk of the operations in the 3 months that followed D-Day were conducted inland, and that created more issues that logistics and transportation could solve. One of the most famous truck-based operations in World War II was the Red Ball Express. a massive convoy system established by the Allies after the D-Day invasion. From August to November 1944, thousands of truck drivers, many of them African-American soldiers, operated day and night to transport supplies from the beaches of Normandy to the front lines in France. At its peak, the Red Ball Express moved 12,500 tons of supplies daily, ensuring the steady flow of fuel, ammunition, and food to the advancing Allied forces. Identical to the way trucks keep America moving today, the war effort would have been lost without them. Key figures like General Frank S. Ross and Lieutenant General John C. H. Lee were instrumental in organizing and managing the Red Ball Express. Blazing the trail for modern-day trucking pioneers like Randy Moeller himself, their leadership and logistical expertise ensured the success of this critical operation, demonstrating the importance of effective supply chain management in military strategy. The Korean and Vietnam Wars presented a new logistical challenge that once again highlighted the importance of trucks. In Korea, the rugged terrain and extreme weather conditions made transportation difficult. Trucks such as the M35 Deuce and a Half played a crucial role in moving supplies across the Korean peninsula. These vehicles were known for their versatility and ability to operate in harsh conditions, ensuring that UN forces remained supplied during the conflict. The Deuce and a Half was a 2.5-ton military beast with a 6-cylinder multi-fuel engine weighing in at over 13,000 pounds. The Deuce got an average of 8 to 10 miles to the gallon with a 50-gallon tank and a max speed of around 55 miles an hour, and was believed to be able to handle almost any kind of weather and terrain. This American hero of a truck was rated at a load capacity of 5,000 pounds, but it was often loaded down with loads of ammo, supplies, and troops that were up to double that capacity. It was also used to transport Honest John missiles that were in service until the mid-80s. Additional features for the M35 series include a 10,000-pound front-mounted winch with the option for a 450 Schwitzer turbo engine and a variety of LDT multi-fuel engines. During the Vietnam War, the reliance on trucks was evident in the construction and maintenance of the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a complex network of roads and paths used by the North Vietnamese forces to transport troops and supplies. The U.S. military responded with its own logistical operations, using trucks to support the massive buildup of American forces in South Vietnam. The M54 truck, part of the 5-ton series, became a staple in the U.S. military's efforts to sustain its operations in the challenging jungle terrain. The M54 was capable of 5-ton loads over terrain and 10-ton loads on paved roads. It was available with a Continental gasoline engine or the multi-fuel Mack diesel engine, pushing 205 horsepower at 2,100 RPM. The Vietnam War had many Americans losing touch with true patriotism. The citizens were divided on the country's involvement in the war, which led to protests, violence, assassinations, and even a monumental shift in American culture by way of the counterculture movement. The heroes that experienced the atrocities of said war, however, did what all heroes do. They put their heads down and pushed forward to complete the job at hand, regardless of their feelings. This is yet another example of how certain aspects of the trucking mindset and culture ring through America's past wartime efforts. The Gulf War in 1990 and 1991 showcased the evolution of military logistics into a highly sophisticated operation. Trucks played a pivotal role in Operation Desert Storm, the coalition effort to liberate Kuwait from Iraqi occupation. The rapid mobilization and deployment of forces required an efficient and reliable supply chain, and trucks, and more importantly, truck drivers, were at the heart of this effort. Many of you listening either know someone or are someone that experienced this war firsthand. So the next time you're shooting the breeze with a driver with military experience, be sure to listen closely to the stories they tell. These are the stories that further galvanize the long-standing culture of American trucking. The HEMTT, or Heavy Expanded Mobility Tactical Truck, became a symbol of modern military logistics during the Gulf War. Its ability to carry heavy loads over long distances and rough terrain was crucial in the desert environment. These trucks transported everything from Patriot missile batteries to essential supplies, ensuring that coalition forces were well equipped for the swift and decisive campaign. The HEMTTs are 8-wheel drive rigs with 10 short-ton capacity, powered by Cat C15 15.2-liter 6-cylinder inline water-cooled engines that crank out 515 horsepower. This engine was even EPA compliant, believe it or not, because when at war, air quality matters. General Stormin H. Norman Schwarzkopf, the commander of the coalition forces, emphasized the importance of logistics in his strategy. His comprehensive planning and emphasis on maintaining robust supply lines were key factors in the coalition's success. Schwarzkopf's leadership underscored the critical role that effective logistics and transportation play in modern warfare. A Schwarzkopf quote sums up his thoughts on the brave men that he led in the Operation Desert Storm, while also, in my humble opinion, describing the truck drivers of our great nation. Quote, "There's nothing wrong with being afraid, and true courage is not being afraid. True courage is being afraid and going ahead and doing your job anyhow. That's what true courage is." End quote. Amidst the broader strategic and logistical contributions, the stories of individual truckers highlight the courage and dedication that define their service. During World War II, truck drivers of the Red Ball Express often faced dangerous conditions, including enemy fire and difficult terrain. Despite these challenges, they persevered, driven by a sense of duty and camaraderie. This sense of duty and camaraderie has echoed across the trucking industry in America, where truck drivers come together as strangers at truck stops from coast to coast and tell their own stories of trucking heroics. In the Gulf War, truckers braved the threat of Scud missile attacks and chemical warfare. Their ability to maintain supply lines under such conditions was a testament to their resilience and professionalism. These truckers ensured that frontline troops received the necessary supplies to maintain their combat effectiveness, contributing directly to the success of the operation. Imagine cruising along I-80, and amidst having to worry about inspections, vehicle maintenance, and jackwagon BMW drivers, you also have to keep an eye out for flying Scud missiles. I guess they would give an entirely new meaning to the term pothole. The history of trucking in wartime efforts is a testament to the critical role that trucks and truck drivers have played in military logistics, and American history in general. From the battlefields of World War I to the deserts of the Gulf War, the trucking industry has been indispensable in ensuring that military operations are well supported and sustained. The contributions of truckers, often under challenging and dangerous circumstances, have been vital in achieving victory and maintaining the momentum of military campaigns. Their stories of bravery and dedication serve as a reminder of the essential role that logistics and transportation play in the theater of war, as well as their importance to the American economy, consumers, and supply chain. Important figures like General John J. Blackjack Pershing, Major General Frank S. Ross, Lieutenant General John C. H. Lee, and General Stormin H. Norman Schwarzkopf have been instrumental in shaping these logistics operations, highlighting the significance of leadership in military success. To those of you listening that serve this great country from all of us here at the H&M Trucking Podcast, we thank you for your sacrifice, dedication, and service to the great nation we call home. That's going to wrap it up for us here on this very patriotic episode of Trucking Up History presented by H&M Trucking. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and as the great Kevin James once said at Daytona,
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.